Hey, so for those of you who could not read my lips, welcome to the nominations committee meeting. My name is Marcia Goodman-Hintershitz, and I facilitate the meeting. Together with me is Chris Miller and Melissa Ventura. And our interviews today are going to start out with the Planning Commission. I believe we have Frank Nom Appts on the line.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Oh, hello, everyone. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm not on. I had to call in because I still got to buy a new computer. Now that I'm retired, I realized my computer was not really good, 10 years old. So I'll be well equipped soon with this stuff.
Okay, but we can hear your voice, so that's what's important.
Okay.
So the first question has always been, why at this point are you applying for the Planning Commission? We know we have many vacant seats that we need to fill as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So your reasoning for applying at this point?
Yes. No. That's a very good question. When I was transitioning to retirement and I had conversations with the mayor, I did ask that if an opportunity ever comes across, that he would consider me maybe putting me on a board authority commission, because I said that's something I think I can continue to do. So the first thing he asked me actually was parking. And I said, I'll tell you what, I've already been there, so I'd rather not. But I said planning, if something would open up in planning for other things too. I mean, I wasn't like, I only want to do planning. I don't want to do anything else. But I did express to the mayor planning, because I said all the years of working at the city, I really got a real fondness, if that's the word to use, for urban development. I mean, I find it fascinating. I know it sounds kind of, I don't want to sound nerdy here, but it really, I know there's a lot of technical stuff, but I find that stuff fascinating. And I find it, these are the things that cities depend on to grow and to have a viable future. And a lot of it comes through a good planning commission going through those things. So that was my first choice, but I haven't been asked to serve in anything else. I think it was parking, but like I said, I've been there, so I'd rather not. But I was not asked to serve any other board or commission.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the questions over to my fellow council members. Melissa?
Hi, Frank.
Hello.
My question is, will you be able to regularly attend those meetings?
That's a very good question. There's 2 meetings a month, I believe. There's a formal meeting on the 4th Tuesday, and there's a workshop. The thing that makes, yes, first of all, to answer your question, simply yes. And the reasoning for that is because of the availability of Zoom. The Planning Commission uses Zoom as a tool. Some of the board members already use Zoom, and some of the presenters use Zoom. So Zoom is widely used for planning. So that helps me making sure I'm available. So, if I can't go out because of possible infection or something like that, certainly want to be on person. But with the option of Zoom, it makes it for me to be there.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Melissa, do you have anything?
What would you like to see the Planning Commission accomplish?
Well, I think they've been accomplishing a lot. They're one of those quiet organizations. I don't think people realize the stuff that how thorough they are. They're very thorough. Over the years, I got to work with the Planning Commission, so that's very refreshing because I like to be part of something. But the thing that's outstanding, and it's between the administrations and the planning, is we've got to get a comprehensive plan. I know in 2015, we worked very hard. I heard, it's my understanding, I wasn't part of city government at the time, but there was headway. I mean, I have a copy of the draft. It just fell on the wayside. Now it's a 7-year-old document. So now we can't really use it. So I think it's really important that we have a comprehensive plan, because that's something that when developers come to us, city for review, we do refer to the comprehensive plan. And also when we apply for grants, we have to submit many times our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan is from 2000. And I was a kid. I was really young because I remember doing all the rec survey stuff. I mean, that's our official plan, 2000. So I think we got to make it a priority. And the commission, my understanding, is willing to do some of the work. It's not the commission's like their partner. Like, it's not their only responsibility. It really comes down to the administration. But I believe that the commission wants to do everything they can to get a plan. We need one.
Frank, this is a more detailed question, and with the lack of a comprehensive plan, how does that affect how planning can make its decisions?
Well, it can, because, there's so many. The planning commission has two, I wouldn't say powers, but roles. They, in land development, they make legal approval, and then in cases they make recommendations. But when you have an outdated plan, that's just not good.
Yeah.
And it's not good. And just think about, we're in 2022, right? Think about stuff like sustainability. That word didn't exist in 2000. So, just stuff like that, environment. I mean, it's so outdated. It's kind of, it needs to be updated quickly. It does have an adverse effect. Ultimately, I believe it does.
And I don't want to get into the weeds, but I believe that's the same plan that I helped to facilitate some of the focus groups on. Am I correct, Shelley?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize we hadn't updated it since then, because that was way before I got on council.
In 2000.
Well, okay. Chris, has anything percolated for you?
I just have one question. It's just a thought that's crossed my mind. When I think of you, Frank, it's like you've worn so many hats in City Hall. It's like you probably could be in any department, and that's a plus wherever you're placed. But do you feel that it's sort of like a double-edged sword, because you sort of have more knowledge than the other members on the planning commission? I guess my question is, do you feel that you could be an equal rather than sort of run wild? Because obviously,
right.
I think with your knowledge, you would be above everybody else, because you know how City Hall works and what departments do what.
No, that's a good question. No, it won't be an issue, because first of all, on the commission, there's some pretty experienced people. Actually, I'm learning from them a little bit, because I see some, I saw emails when I was working for the administration. But certainly, I'm not the chairman. I'm not there to dominate. I'm there to support everybody. It's a collective approach. So it's not like I'm trying to embarrass. Oh, I know this. Gotcha. Oh, what's that? No, I do understand what you're saying. I had that kind of with the parking a little bit, because the parking authority were all new board members who were new to the process. So I was very sensitive, and I worked with them. So yeah, no, I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, and I certainly rest assure you that I won't be just going wild. I know it's easy to sometimes, because you get frustrated. Oh, I know all this. Let's get it moving. But no, that's not my role. I have to know my lane. It took me a long time, but I've learned at City Hall that whatever role I have to know what that role is and stay in my lane and know who I work for. And that's important. And with the Planning Commission, it's a collective decision. It's not a decision from one person, and it's a decision that we make. So I'm not beholden to current or past administrations, because I worked for a lot of administrations. That was always a concern from people sometimes. Well, you're going to be beholden. No. Certainly I hear people out, but I'm not beholding. I know my role with the Planning Commission, and I know, where I need to be, and it's to be the best interest of the city through the commission.
Thank you.
Frank, I heard you say something I thought was very important, as you talked about the experience of the planning commission, yet I believe some of the more experienced members can no longer serve. So how do you see that gap in maybe knowledge and expertise? How do you see that board reforming? And I mean that in, the sense of coming back together to be able to come up to full capacity.
And that's a very good question. You're right. There's two board members for, that are no longer serving that had a lot of technical experience. So we have to make up for that. Well, I think we work together as a board, and we can't be afraid to ask questions on the technical stuff. And I think that's really important. Is you can't be afraid that you don't know something,
Right.
And you got to ask. And I think, with some of the potential new board members coming on, it looks like we have to really instill that, like, it's okay to ask. Now, we have to have some kind of grounds where you can't ask 1,000 questions to hold up the meeting for a ridiculous amount of time. But then we can set up workshops. I know Albright College, I was told, does a planning workshop for planners. So I think that's something that's really critical. And I think we as a group can have our own workshops if need be. If we feel like we need to say, okay, we need to get a better understanding of this specific thing of the saldo, right? We need to understand this sector. And then we could do that maybe in a separate educational workshop. We've done that at the parking authority. That was important. I needed that. Yeah, so I think that's the approach once we get the full team in place here, because I'm not really sure, I don't know all the intricacies here going on of what vacancies and who's, what I mean? I just know that, and I know it's still up in the air, that there's a couple of openings, I guess, it sounds like.
Well, thank you. Melissa, do you have any follow there?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Chris?
I'm good.
Okay, Frank, thank you for your insight. Very helpful, very good discussion. And I believe one of the other candidates we're going to be interviewing is on the line now. Feel free, Frank, if you want to stay in through this interview, because that's how we've done it in the past. Sometimes it can really add to the energy of the interviews. But do you have any questions for us at all?
No, not at the moment. I don't.
So I believe we have Mr. DiCarlo. Is that the next one?
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. And just for a real quick introduction, in case you didn't hear before you joined the meeting, I'm Marcia Goodman-Hinnershitz. I chair the nominations committee. Chris?
Okay.
I'm Chris Miller.
I'm Melissa Ventura.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
And it's my understanding you are applying for the planning commission.
Yes.
Could you give us a sense of why you made that decision? What you know about the planning commission, where you see yourself fitting in?
Well, it's stuff that I do pretty much every day, day in and day out. I mean, for the past 29 years, I've been involved with 2 city taverns, and just recently, 3 years ago, purchased the old former Bieber bus terminal. And so 3 of our 4 businesses are in Reading, and we as a family have been there since the 1920s. I mean, me for 29 years, but the planning commission is always, it's everything I do every day. It's planning, it's looking at it, it's implementation, overseeing, and it's really about the future, going 2 years, 5 years, out. And it's very, very important, that we as a city become more business friendly, but also, keep in mind with city government and, everybody has to collectively, get together and be on the same page. I'd like to see more of that happen, especially the community. Their voices have to be heard when it comes to, existing businesses or new businesses wanting to come into, our city. It has to jive with the city residents, because they put up with a lot already, as far as I'm concerned, with stuff. So we have to make sure everybody's happy.
Could you explain a little bit more about what you mean? I think I might, but I think just to clarify for everyone, as far as when you have to put up with stuff, what that sort of means.
Me personally, have to, I always have to, you have to be a great listener with everything coming in, meaning putting up with stuff. I'm constantly, have to hear from customers, employees, and then, other family members that are co-owners. So I'm constantly listening to what everybody has to say. And then at the end of the day, everybody, it has to work out for everybody. And then hopefully everybody can, be happy and be on the same page. So I've constantly strive to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
On the fourth Tuesday.
They do meet on the fourth Tuesday at 6 o'clock, the planning commission.
Oh, not twice a month.
They also have a workshop.
Oh, okay. So the commission currently meets on the fourth Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Will you be able to regularly attend those meetings?
Absolutely.
And what would you like to see the planning commission accomplish?
Yeah, going forward, I just, it's nice to see all the plans and just, I don't really have an agenda as far as what they're looking for in the future. I like being able to, get together as a commission and workshops and like getting everybody, working together on the same page, whether it's, city council, the mayor, the existing businesses, new businesses, the community, state government sometimes gets involved. Everybody has to be, should have a voice, and we have to listen, and then, you make a decision. But it's, for me, it's all the collective process of, hearing everyone. Everybody has to have the decorum of listening and, and then coming up with, like a plan or, what's going on going forward.
Thank you.
I just want to tag on to one of the questions that Councilor Ventura asked. And when you mentioned about your 4 businesses, obviously these meetings are in the evening, and I would think that would probably be your prime time in your businesses. Do you see a conflict with that?
Yeah, not on Tuesdays. That's probably the slowest day of the week, and that's a day that I'm personally off.
Okay.
So that works. Tuesdays work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, knowing that this is probably, have you been on any boards, authorities, and commissions before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so knowing that this might be new for you, what do you think some of the things are that you may need to learn about to really engage as a member of the commission?
I'm willing to learn everything and anything. I think one thing that sets me apart is that I am fresh, and
Right.
I have no allegiances to anybody in city council or the mayor himself. I am friendly and cordial with everybody. But I'm being fresh, I think, in city government goes a long way. I think everybody has friends at the end of the day, whether it's friends with existing businesses or, certain government members, or, I don't have any of that.
Great. Do you see any potential conflicts at all?
No.
Okay. And just to let you know, and it's true of all of our boards, authorities, and commissions, they all have city staff and a solicitor working with them. So if there are potential conflicts, they sort of let you know just to protect yourself. Because
Yes.
all of us at some point on the line, we all wear so many different hats. That's just going to be something that pops up as part of the normal operation.
Yes, I could do that.
Yeah, so that's good. Do you have any questions for us at all?
No, I just, yeah, I would be fresh to the, to the position. And I think that goes a long way. I think when somebody's, on a board too long, or like I said, has affiliations or friendships with people, and we live in a very small town, and I think all that stuff is very bad news. So just me being new and fresh, and, me being my own person at the end of the day, I would, it's between us as a board as to what, what's gonna, happen. And I think workshops are great to like go over that.
Yeah, and I think you might have heard during the previous interview with Frank Jambowski talking about some educational sessions that could possibly be sponsored through Albright and the Center for Government. So one of my questions for you, like moving forward, what's your vision for development in the city? I'm just curious as what your ideal would be. Because I know we were talking about the idea, we haven't had a comprehensive plan done since 2000.
Right.
As you're making decisions, what would you see?
Well, I mean, it's hard to come up. It's probably been 20 years since a plan has come up because the plan has to constantly change. I mean, it changes constantly.
Mhm.
I would just like to see, everybody being just on the same board. It's like I think we have, like it's almost like an it's not a very business friendly situation sometimes, like in the city, and it takes a long time to get stuff done and going. And I think we have to be, a little more ears open, and there shouldn't be, there has to be like like a friendly discussion. They shouldn't be like afraid to, come in or do business, or not even want to come in and talk and then go to another town. It's, it's just, there should be like a more, people shouldn't have that mindset that we're like not business friendly, or just, the stuff that does go on, the things don't get done, or, stuff like that. It's just, I'd like to see people have a different mindset, of, we're here to listen to you, and we're open for business, and we want you here, as long as it doesn't coincide with, community people living here and stuff like that. I have so many community members that, come into our taverns, and, I get to hear everything, from them, what their issues are, or, whether they're, happy or not happy, or so. I just always had good ears. I'm always listening to, to people, whether it's, city government people that come in for dinner, or just community people, that live in the community, and it seems like sometimes we're worried about, the suburbs or Berks County. And I think we need to worry about ourselves and take care of ourselves as a city. I think we're worried about like what Wyomissing does and says, because that's where the money's at, or, Berks County as a whole. I think we need to worry about our own city and make our own city-based decisions.
Well said.
Yeah.
And I really, I appreciate that comment. And I think one of the things you also sort of alluded to, and I know I hear, is that sometimes bureaucracy runs so slow that it doesn't encourage developers to follow through, because they are having to wait for X, Y, and Z decision to be made. So just keeping that in mind as you look at this role.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions from either Melissa or Chris?
I'm good.
Okay, so the way the process works is that the committee then makes a recommendation to council, and it would look like next Monday's meeting, we would have a recommendation as far as your appointment. And then once that's voted on, you'll be asked to come into the city clerk's office and do what you need to do to get prepared for coming to the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Anything else, Michelle, that we need to add?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, and
Okay.
thank you, Frank, for staying online.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night.
Good night.
Do you have any other interviews?
No, those are the only 2 interviews today.
Okay. Good. So,
I'm sorry?
no, it's.
Oh, no. There's additional.
Topics. So the first thing we need to decide is whether we will be making a recommendation to council for those appointments.
For me, I say yes. I didn't have any issues with either of them.
Yeah, I thought they were good interviews and people were being really honest
Yeah.
about. So that was what I was looking for. And that's why, by the way, I wasn't ready to do it at the council meeting last Monday, because it's a different atmosphere when you're able to really connect with folks. So And we could recommend that they be put on the agenda, Shelley.
Yep, I'll take care of that. They'll be
Okay.
on Monday.
And I don't have the agenda in front of me, Melissa. Where are we at next?
Review pending applications memo.
So that is that. And I put that in every meeting, just so you are all aware. The mayor's backlog is caught up and he's holding only one application at this point. So we'll have lots of interviews and I may even be asking to add some
Meeting
extra
times.
meetings to get us caught back up
Yeah.
now
The
that we
volume
have
of
so many.
interviews that we have to do is really incredible to be able to keep this thing moving along, especially with a lot of the vacancies. Yeah,
I have a question.
sure.
In the case of multiple people applying for a board or a commission, what's the deciding factor of how many people? I mean, I understand there's so many people
Mhm.
that can fill a board. But what's the initial process to decide like which ones will be interviewed?
Yeah, maybe we need to back up, Shelley, and just go over the vetting process.
Sure, so when I get an application for any board, authority, or commission, I have a background process. So I check for outstanding property taxes, any pending court cases, criminal or otherwise. I'm trying to think now, I have a list. Open property maintenance issues, where
Okay.
they live or the businesses they own. If their water sewer is current. And whether or not there are any outstanding parking tickets. So it's not like one ticket, it's like
Yeah,
you're on the verge of getting
Understood.
the boot or the barnacle because you've, let it go for so long.
Right.
So once they go through that and everything is fine, they go to the mayor's office for his review, and that's where they stay until he decides whether or not he will recommend that applicant. So to answer your initial question, if we have 5 applicants for 2 vacancies, he has the option of approving all 5 and letting the committee decide, where
Okay.
you would interview all 5 and then choose however many vacancies there are. Or he has the option of only approving 2 or, the number of vacancies that there are, to send those recommendations back to the committee. And they would be the only ones. Now, and it varies with who's sitting in the mayor's office, and it varies with which boards are under consideration. If you look at the memo, I think it's the electrical board.
Sorry.
There are 3 applicants, only 1 vacancy, and he has sent all 3 of them over. So they'll all get interviewed, and then the committee will decide which person goes to council for appointment.
and that's the one thing I do want to be speaking with our solicitor about, because everything
Excuse me.
here is public, or deliberations that way.
Understood.
Yeah,
Another question. I remember in one of the council meetings, there was a discussion of one of the boards having a flex number of members. In other words, it wasn't set, it could be from like 7 to 10. Are there any boards that are designed that way, or is it a set number?
No, there's a set number, and the one that I think you're talking about comes from state law that says you may have a range of this
Right.
many, and then the city or the municipality then each chooses which number they're gonna pick.
Okay.
So we have chosen a number, and then that's the number of people that, and if you
Understood.
want to change that, you have to change the ordinance to amend the
Okay.
number of people that you'll have seated on that board.
Very good at answering my questions.
yeah, and this is complex that I can continually, as long as I've been on this, been on a learning curve. So the issue, for instance, with planning came up, where the residency issue.
Right.
Okay, and then we needed to go to our solicitor to get that interpreted, because we weren't sure whether the charter
Right.
included, and we obviously got this, so we lost 2 people that had experience. So we want to be more mindful, because those folks were on for a long time, that we understand what the rules are for each of the boards, authorities, and commissions, who can sit, who appoints, everything like that. Okay, so Shelley, you'll be setting up a schedule then for interviews with the, and who's outstanding yet? Is from the mayor's office.
The only person is the one for the charter board.
That's Steve, right? Okay. Let's see if you're now, apply for the charter board, so.
Yeah, and this committee meets twice a month, and that memo changes every time because there's always, now these two applicants will come off the memo. I'll have more people. I have 8 on my desk now that I'll be starting the process tomorrow. So it's constantly, updating, changing, yeah.
And the one thing I've looked for is to have more diversity. Obviously, city residents, if we can all really, because that's really the starting block for people to understand city government is to serve on
I
one of the
agree.
boards and authorities. So, anything else on the agenda, Melissa? Because I don't have anything.
Oh, here we go. Back openings.
And that is that one. So it's kind of a reiteration of this one, only it shows you not only who's pending, but what vacancies there are that I may not have anyone pending for. So as you're out in the community and you're recruiting members, if you know someone who would fit into one of those, to encourage them to apply.
And this is a simple question. Yeah.
Let me just keep part of it, and I'll print you a clean one because I write all over mine
Okay.
because I have to update it tomorrow.
Did anyone check the link lately? I was told by someone that the link doesn't work for the applications. Were you aware of that at all?
It was a problem when we transitioned from the old website to the new one.
Okay,
We discovered that there was a problem, and now the link is monitored routinely by the webmaster.
okay.
And if he sees one, he'll check in with me to make sure I got it. And the
Okay.
last few, well, it's a whole bunch of times when he's flagged it, I've already gotten it in my email.
Okay.
So that is working again.
Okay, 'cause someone just pointed that out to me and I said, well, I would check with, city clerk's office. Okay, so anything else for the good for the order?
The only other thing we talked about last time with the non-resident members of the trades boards, I was able to get a listing of people who have their licenses with Reading. So I'm going through that now and removing the people who are not qualified because they have the wrong kind of license or they haven't had their license long enough. And then once I finish that, I'll go through and see how many or if any there are that are Reading residents that we can specifically recruit to fill some of those positions.
Good. And again, it's for us to be able to keep on tab since we have the contacts with the community to get folks to apply. Okay, that's it for our nominations meeting. I don't-
Yeah, just so you know, next time I will ask that we watch together the link of the diversity inclusion
Oh,
video so that we can get back to HR.
let me just get backtrack on that one a little bit. One of the
God bless
things that
you.
we felt was
Thank you.
important is that every board and authority commission member had training in DEI. And so rather than people having to come here and attend a training, we just had a link to an online training for them to participate in. And actually it would be good if all of us would, link into that one too. Okay, motion to adjourn?
You got it.
All righty. So how much time do we have before our next? Oh, we're early.